The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WinBet. Bet $100 at WinBet and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WinBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by IP Vanish. IP Vanish is the official VPN of SGPN, and they're offering 70% off if you go to ipvanish.com/SGP. That's ipvanish.com/SGP. And make sure to check our new Discord server, the perfect place to interact and sweat all your bets with the entire SGPN crew. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford. I am coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast corner of England. Today is Wednesday, August the 3rd, and we are here to preview a slate of 12 MLB games for Thursday, August the 4th. And joining me, probably a sleepy boy because he was still up and doing stuff while I got up this morning, and that's a whole different day away. Mr. Noah Bennick. Noah, have you come round yet?
Maybe. I took a long nap, or just fell asleep at like 6 o'clock Eastern time today. And if the listeners, the diehard ones, know that, or if you're new because of that episode, we did a MLB trade deadline special last night, where I just kind of went through most of the big trades and briefly ran down a few of the other ones and some of the prospect packages deals. So if your team isn't in the mainstream news for their deal, I gave a little bit of analysis on most, if not every deal that happened during the trade deadline on the last day, because there was just so many deals on the one day compared to the first 4 days leading up to it. So yeah, definitely hit on whatever you're looking for from Tuesday, whether it comes to analysis. And I was also talking about some futures for a couple of teams that I liked. So I gave out a lock on that podcast. Go check it out if you want to get involved in the futures market here, because I think there was a little bit of value that the books were sleeping on here at the trade deadline. Malcolm, I know you guys talked about it a little bit on your podcast. Was there anything that caught your eye that you're really interested in that happened at the trade deadline?
Well, obviously we spoke. We went game by game last night, myself and Dylan, and touched on things. And actually, we were recording as the deadline ticked past. It was 11 p.m. last night. It was a UK. Idea. It was a UK friendly time, and there was probably about half a dozen or more trades that were made. The Blue Jays made their moves right at the line, because we'd been talking about Johnny Jumper.
It's a little confusing, in my opinion, the moves that they made.
Yeah. The Chicago White Sox was a head scratcher. In fact, it was probably the teams who didn't make any moves that was more confusing than the teams that did. The White Sox being a prime example of that. There was one, I'd written an article last week about some prospects and rookies who might get traded. I gave 7 out, and I actually hit one. I was delighted. Tucker Davidson was his name, the Atlanta Braves pitcher. Yeah. And I put up him as a potential trade candidate, and he got moved on to, where did he go? The Angels?
Tucker Davidson went to, the Angels.
What
for Iglesias?
That was it. Yeah, he was part of that trade. Yeah. So I hit on one of them, which was good. But yeah, so I mean, the teams like the White Sox, if you woke up a White Sox fan this morning, you must just be incredibly underwhelmed it
was 6 p.m., so they didn't really wake up. They kind of were incredibly underwhelmed throughout the rest of the night. Went to bed a little grumpy, maybe woke up still grumpy too.
And obviously, the San Diego Padres, I think, won trade deadline. But can you give us a team that you think, apart from the obvious Padres, a team who you think did really well at the wire?
So it's not the lock from the podcast, because I don't think it was the team that I think did, I guess, the best. But I will say that I was impressed by the Phillies. I think they addressed a few needs that they had a defensive center fielder that they needed, a back-end bullpen guy that they got in David Robertson. The defensive center fielder was Brandon Marsh. And then Noah Syndergaard's interesting. He's faced all these NL East teams before. He was good during his stint with the Mets. So we'll see how it goes in his second stint in the division with the Phillies. But the interesting fact about it is I think it was addition by subtraction. They got rid of, or they DFA'd Odubel Herrera and Uris Familia, and they have 11 games remaining against the Washington Nationals. So that's a team to keep your eye on here.
No, fair enough. I quite like the Twins, who
that might have possibly been the lock.
Okay, really that division, no one else did anything. Nobody. I noted the Tigers just kept setting fire to more stuff. The White Sox did absolutely. They were asleep. They were having a nap. Tony put them all down for a nap. Everyone was having a little sleep.
Rick, they fell asleep at the game or whatever.
Yep. And they had a Tyler Marley, which I think was a great addition. They're going to have a real nice rotation next year. And Jorge Lopez, the closer carousel was interesting as always. Lopez.
Jorge,
what are you calling him?
Jorge. It's a silent G.
Right. So I get away with the silent J, but you pull me up on the hard G.
Yep.
For God's sake. Moonaf's joined us in the chat. Hello, Moonaf. Me and Noah are bickering already. We've only got 7 minutes. We're having a good bicker, Moonaf. But Jorge.
Yeah.
No, I'm not having it. It's Jorge. Jorge Lopez. Anyway, he got his first name tonight. And the closest was always is always an interesting one. We've just talked. I came home last night, this afternoon, and tried to look at the closer situation with some of my fantasy teams because I lost Raisel Iglesias, who now will not be a closer, and I think you kind of spend a third or fourth round pick on Iglesias.
That's frustrating.
So, yeah, Felix Bautista had already gone. Ryan Gilbert had picked him up in our league. I looked at Ryan Tepera, who's going to be, I think, the man for the Angels, but I mean, what's he going to get? 4 saves between now and October.
They need a guy. There you go.
Yeah, they've got to win a game first. So Bautista went. Who else we talking about? Yeah, obviously Lopez picked up his save tonight for the Twins. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. What, the Tigers?
Against the Tigers.
Oh, against the Tigers. Yes, and just as a little addendum before I carry on, that was my lock of tonight. Was the Minnesota on the run line. Minnesota on the run line was my lock. I picked Kansas City as my dog, and that's going to go down. And I had loads of other dogs as well. I've just got the wrong one. I had the Phillies at plus 125. They won. I had Baltimore at they were about plus 140, I think. Baltimore have won as well. So I got the right dogs and then put the wrong one on the graphic, but not to worry about it. So we take the winners, and I've been having a decent week on tally side too.
My dog got shafted. I knew this kid Tommy Henry. He's a lefty from the University of Michigan. I was like, this kid's wicked. He's going to get to the MLB. I think he's going to be pretty good. Left-handed starter. He's got a wicked slider. So yeah, that was my dog because I thought that was a pretty sharp play with a Rook on the mound and Shane Bieber on the other side. I didn't think that they were scoring 4 or more runs, so I took the under, and it was plus 120 for the first 5, under 4, and it was a 1-0 game. And Tommy Henry goes into the 5th, and he gives up 3, so I pushed.
Oh no,
so tough. But I think the most frustrating thing, I guess I'll end the talk with this. The most frustrating thing, I ranted with it on the podcast. The 7th playoff spot, the American League didn't give a shit about it. You look at the White Sox, they didn't do anything. They traded away a catcher, like their backup catcher. The Guardians literally didn't do anything. They didn't make a single trade. And the Orioles sold. The whole argument for the 7th playoff spot, 3rd wild card spot, was for the teams that don't normally make the playoffs to give them a chance to try to rejuvenate their fans. Well, that spot was probably meant for the Orioles. Like, this is a team that, your fans were getting back into the game, and it was cool to see Camden filled day after day for July. They were like 16-9 in July. And they had that crazy 14-game winning streak or something like that. or was that Seattle? It was one of the two teams, but they had a good winning streak in July too. It's just frustrating to see them sell after the whole argument during the offseason was it gives more teams chance. No, it was just about the damn money.
Yeah, but I think Baltimore know that they're not really in contention this season. And I actually didn't mind their business because what they did was stuck to their guns and they want to be contended in 2 or 3 years' time. We've known that their rotation has got a lot better this year. Dean Kramer, me and Dylan talked about this night. John Means coming back, Spencer Watkins. Yeah. And they added some arms to that. JP Sears from the Yankees, I think, did he go to the Orioles? I think they added 2 young lefties, 2 23-year-old lefties.
JP Sears went to Oakland.
Ah, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, I knew it was one of the dog shit teams. But yeah, Baltimore stuck to their guns, and I just as high as they are right now. And I see your point that they could have looked at where they are and thought, let's go for it. I think they stuck to their process.
Really go for it. Why make a move for Jorge Lopez? Their return for Lopez was
because they're closers. Closers are 10 a penny. Closers go for nothing. The closers only ever temporary.
Just keep him. Maybe re-sign him. He went for nothing, like you said. 2 rookie ball prospects and 2 A-ball prospects. It was like a pitiful return for Jorge Lopez.
Okay, fair enough. Right, we need to handicap these games before the people get sick of listening to us chunter on. Munaf is just trolling me in the chat at this point. So go and find something to do, Munaf. I'm sure you've got whatever. I heard Sean and Ryan were talking about Munaf's secret project on I listened to which NFL team preview did that. The Minnesota Vikings I listened to today. I've been listening to all of those preseason. They're doing an hour or so on all 32 teams. And today they were talking about Munaf's secret project. So yeah, go and get the love.
Munaf's got the NBA gambling podcast. He's going to ditch the MLB gambling podcast for what? What's bigger than this right now?
This is the thing. No one knows. He's back in the lab doing something. He's like the Wizard of Oz. We need to see behind the curtain, Noah. See what Munaf's up to.
He works too much. I get MLB and college baseball in the same time period, and I can't handle it.
Yeah, if I have to do 2 things in 1 week, it stresses me out. But Munaf's built different. There's a reason they call him the machine, and that's because he's not like me and you, Noah. Right, let's handicap some actual baseball. Tomorrow starts with a 12:35 Eastern first pitch, and it is the Milwaukee Brewers at the Pittsburgh Pirates, which is Brandon Woodruff against Zach Thompson. This is a game that I handicapped last night before the Brewers. They called an audible and put Freddie Peralta on the mound. Woodruff is 9-3, has a 3.55 ERA, has pitched 78 2/3 with 101 strikeouts. Zach Thompson is 3-8, has a 5.09 ERA, has pitched 81 1/3 with 55 strikeouts. Woodruff's going along beautifully, 3-0 in his last 5 with a 2.10 ERA. He's pitched 22 innings against Pittsburgh so far this season with a 2.86 ERA. He has been noticeably worse on the road, however, 4.7 on the road. Faced the Pirates relatively recently on the 9th of July, gave up 3 earned runs. Maybe the Pirates have got enough of a handle on him for him to contribute some runs here. I think Thompson will give up some runs. That's pretty much unavoidable. The last twice Pittsburgh have faced Woodruff, they got 10 hits off him. I thought that both teams could contribute here. I gave this out as over 8 yesterday. I saw it as over 8 earlier this afternoon, and I've seen it as 7.5. So I'm delighted with that. I think both teams can contribute, and I think this will not easily, but it's going to get over 7.5 anyway.
Love that. Yeah, I wasn't actually looking towards the total here. I was looking at, the Brewers and maybe even the run line against the Pirates. Brewers have absolutely had the Pirates number here this season, last season, for a few seasons now. They're 11-5 in their last 16 games against Pittsburgh, and Milwaukee, they're 7-3 right now in the last 10 games. They're going at a good pace right now. Like, even if they may not have won the trade deadline, this is still a better than average MLB baseball team that should take care of the Pittsburgh Pirates here. So I like them on the run line here in this game. Just with regard to the Brewers, we've already mentioned the Minnesota Twins once tonight. And while we're on
this subject. What do you you think the Brewers are still going to hang on to that division? Because I know we put up St. Louis at the All-Star break. We talked about some futures, and I think everyone here was on St. Louis. And I mean, what, 2 games back they are, and I think the Cards now, they've surely got to go odds on, I would have thought.
Yeah, and I like the Cards moves too. They acquired. We'll talk about one of them, but the other one was Jordan Montgomery right at the trade deadline mark, like 554. Weird move by the Yankees, but great for the Cardinals because he's going to start playoff games for them. But like you said, we'll try not to focus too much on the deadline here. But I mean, I think the Cardinals are hot on the Brewers' tail. I think they're going to end up winning this division.
Yeah, I think that the Twins have certainly put themselves in the box seat in that other Central Division as well. 3:45 Eastern first pitch is the LA Dodgers against the San Francisco Giants, which is Clayton Kershaw, left-handed pitcher, taking on Jake Junis for San Francisco. The Dodgers are prohibitive, minus 202. San Francisco plus 173. Total here is set at 8. Kershaw is 7-3, has a 2.66 ERA. He's pitched 81 and a third with 84 strikeouts. Junis 4-2 with a 2.78 ERA, 58 and a third, 48 strikeouts. Kershaw just ticking boxes, 2.73 in his last 5, 2.53 on the road. However, I think Junis can live with him tomorrow. He's got a 2.95 ERA in his last 5 starts. The total is set at 8, and I think that's quite high. The Dodgers and the Giants have a lot of times over the last couple of seasons played in these really quite classic low-scoring games. And I think we can see another one of these tomorrow, something like a 3-2. So the under 8 for me, I'm going to take another total, under 8 at minus 115, Noah.
Yeah, that was my whole handicap at the beginning of this series, too. Is like the Dodgers were undefeated at Dodger Stadium. The Giants were undefeated at Oracle. And all of the games were close and electric. The first 2 games of the series, however, have kind of been Dodger runaways. It was like 9-5 and like 8-2 in the 2 games so far in the series. I'm going to stick with my gut, though. I see the Giants as a plus money dog, home puppy, as Dylan likes to say it.
Yeah.
And Junis has been going well, and you know what? This Giants team hits very well against lefties, and they've seen Clayton Kershaw many times over the past few years. So I like the Giants on the money line here.
Okay, next, 4:07 Eastern first pitch, the Oakland Athletics at the LA Angels. Paul Blackburn will get the start for the Athletics, and Jansen Junk goes for the LA Angels, possibly the best name in MLB at the moment. Oakland are plus 106. The Angels are minus 123. Total here is set at 8. I tweeted about this earlier on and said it was possible that both teams might lose this game. Noah, how did you handicap it?
I saw that tweet and it was kind of funny. You also mentioned that Jansen Junk might have one of the best names in baseball. How about Sky Bolt over there at Oakland?
Yeah, beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Kudos to Mr. and Mrs. Bolt there.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Oakland and LA, both teams, they're struggling mightily right now. Oakland, they've lost 6 of their last 7, and they're the LA Angels, they're 6-14 in the last 20 games. So pitching for Oakland, though, is our guy, Paul Blackburn. He's 6-6 with a 4.15 ERA, 86 strikeouts, 29 walks, and 106.1 innings pitched. He has a 1.75 ERA on the road this season. And then, like we mentioned earlier, Jansen Junk, he's 1-0 in 1 start so far in the MLB. He went 5 innings, 8 punchies, 4 hits, no runs against the Kansas City Royals. It's the Angels and the Athletics, and with good pitchers on the mound, I kind of like betting the under here. How about you, Malcolm?
100%. I think we keep calling Paul Blackburn our guy. I think road Paul Blackburn has to be our guy, rather than home Paul Blackburn. I think we have to separate the 2 Paul Blackburns. Okay. And I quite like Jansen Junk. I've seen a little bit of fantasy noise about him, specifically in streaming spots. And this is a great streaming spot. You're a man who always needs help with your fantasy team, Noah. Stream
Oh,
Jansen
God.
Junk tomorrow. I'm just trying to offer you some assistance. Stream Jansen Junk tomorrow. Yeah, two poor teams, two pitchers who can go okay. And this is going to be my third total of the night. And yeah, it's going to be an under and quite a convincing one, I think, as well. So yeah, we'll take the under 8, the even money, plus 100. A nice
Pitching
fun
is the
price.
strength of my fantasy team. I don't need to stream starters. I need to just find RBIs and home runs.
Yeah, so I don't pay that much attention to the teams in the bottom third of the standings. No, I haven't got that much time on my hands. 4:10 Eastern first pitch is the Colorado Rockies at the San Diego Padres. Kyle Freeland, the left-hander, will go for the Rockies, and on the hill for the new look San Diego Padres will be Joe Musgrove. They're nearly a $3 favorite. The Padres minus 297. Colorado plus 247. Totalia is set at 7.5. Freeland is 6-7, 4.63 ERA. Has pitched 114 and 2/3 with 82 strikeouts. Musgrove is 8-4 with a 2.65 ERA. Has pitched 115 and 1/3 with 114 strikeouts. Freeland's struggling. I've been better on the road, and that's kind of what we've been clinging to the last few times that we've handicapped Freeland, but that's starting to slide now a little bit. 5.59 ERA in his last 5. His last 2 road starts have been poor as well. That's kind of that regression I was talking about. And he has a 5.56 ERA against NL West opposition. Musgrove's been kind of vulnerable as well. He's given up 11 runs in his last 3 starts. A 2, a 4, and a 5. He does have a 2.25 home ERA. So I kind of think you have to trust him. We'll be interested to see how the new look Padres do line up. I'm guessing Soto will be in the top. Will be at the top of that lineup. And I think this is a good spot for San Diego. San Diego run line. Although even that's going to be around about minus 150, I think, at these prices. So yeah, not a very fancy price. Maybe a ladder bet. No, one of our ladder bets, we could go minus 1.5, minus 2.5, minus 3.5, something like that. Or you just maintain a watching brief and see how San Diego come out and how they perform with the new boys, the new bats that they've got in there.
Yeah, or you could throw in a nice little juiced up parlay and a couple of 200 favorites with the Padres, because I'm not sure if I see them losing this game, but I think it's going to be very interesting to watch this as the season goes on, because, you know, the rotation, it has a lot of good names. The good names, though, have not been at their best lately. You talked about Musgrove. We also know about Manaea, and Darvish is kind of hit or miss. There's one more I think that I'm missing in there too. That's
Blake
kind of like
Snell.
Yeah, Snell. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. The fact I mentioned his name and you kind of laugh, that's pretty much sums it up, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like it's going to be weird because I think, of course, they're dominating the headlines right now, but like we could get some value on like first 5s on the other team. I really do think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, the trend is with the Padres is when they win their games, they win it by 2 or more runs. So run line's going to be favorable for the Padres down the stretch. But, you know, if those aren't juicy enough, try first 5s on the other teams.
Okay. Little Rockies lean for Noah. I don't mind that over, actually, 7.5. I think we could possibly get there. One of several ways. Either the Padres could light it up.
Also, I think it's an interesting matchup. The Padres did everything with A.J. Preller at the trade deadline, and the Rockies didn't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, 7:05 Eastern first pitch is the Washington Nationals at the Philadelphia Phillies. Paulo, is that right? It is. Yeah. Paulo Espino. I'm very conscious now of these Hispanic names after you've already roasted me once tonight. Paulo Espino will go for the Washington Nationals, and Noah Syndergaard, not quite hot with me Scandinavian names either, will go for the Philadelphia Phillies on debut there. Washington are a shade over 2-1, plus 205. The Phillies are minus 243. Total error is set at 8.5. We'll let you take this one away, Noah.
So instantly here, I mean, this whole Thursday slate, it's kind of a travel day for most of these teams.
Yeah.
The Nationals, they're coming from Washington to Philadelphia, not too bad. And Philadelphia going from Atlanta back to Philly. On the bumps for both teams, like you mentioned, Paulo Espino. I'm surprised that you don't kind of have those down, because you're playing with some Dominicans over there, and that's kind of like where I picked up some of the pronunciations of the names, is playing with all the Hispanics that I did in college.
Yeah, but the mix of the Dominican accent and the Newcastle accent is a real good hybrid. It's a real what's the word of what's a bit of a mongrel accent. Certainly not a thoroughbred accent, but yeah, it's good.
So yeah, Espino, he's 0-3, 3.78 ERA this year, 50 strikeouts, 13 walks, and 66.2 innings pitched. He has a 5.87 ERA in the month of July, so not pitching well as of late. And then we'll have our first sighting of Thor in Philly, like you mentioned. In 2022, Noah Syndergaard is 5-8 with the Angels, 3.83 ERA, 64 strikeouts, 22 walks, and 80 innings pitched. Away from Angel Stadium, he has a 5.45 ERA. So I'm kind of leaning towards the over here, with Espino not in good form lately, and then Syndergaard not really pitching well again away from home. Now he has a new home, and this is not what am I looking for? Not a very pitcher friendly.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the over here. Malcolm, how about you?
100% agree with you. I've got the over written down here. I had it written down at 8 earlier on. Moved to 8.5 as well. The Spies have been out. This is.
The Spies have been out.
The Spies have been out. They've been looking at my pink notepad. Syndergaard's just possibly just not nervous. I don't know. Just maybe he's shaky. A shaky first start at home. And Espino's going to give you 4 or 5 runs towards that total anyway. And I think Syndergaard's been relatively short as well. Hasn't got out the 5th inning many times this season. So I think we could see a relatively short start from Syndergaard as well as they ease him in. Washington were relatively feisty last night. They turned over Jacob deGrom, and the New York Mets put up 5 runs. So maybe some of their bats are thinking, right, okay, they've sold all our players. Let's have a little flex and see what we can put up here. So, the 8.5 looks okay to me, and I agree with you completely that we can take the over in that one.
Did you see the home run that Meneses hit? He's had like a 10-year journeyman career and overseas and in the minor leagues, and his first or second at bat of the game hit a home run. That's pretty cool. I
saw his name come up this morning when I was checking box scores and highlights and stuff like that. But yeah, I must admit it didn't register much at the time, and I just glossed over it. I'll revisit that when we get done here. No,
cool story.
7:10 Eastern first pitch is the New York Mets are at home to the Atlanta Braves. The Braves will have Kyle Wright on the mound. Carlos Carrasco goes for the New York Mets. Close this one. This was near to a pick 'em earlier on.
Game of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably, and we'll talk about this in a moment. The Braves are plus 103. The Mets are minus 122. So a little bit of money's coming on the Mets here. The total is set at 8. Kyle Wright is 13-4. There's a 2.93 ERA with 122 and 2/3 pitched in 120 strikeouts. Carrasco is 11-4, a 3.79 ERA with 111 and 2/3 pitched and 108 strikeouts. Kyle Wright's been flames, 4-0 in his last 5 starts, a 2.64 ERA. He's 5-2 against the NL East with a 2.36 ERA. That's a decent sample size as well, as you'd expect in division. 45 and 2/3 innings he's pitched there for those numbers. Carrasco, similar, if not a little bit better. The last 5, 3-0 with a 0.9 ERA. Hasn't given up an earned run in his last 3 starts, Carrasco. Really tight game, this one. Really tight series. They play 5 games. There's a doubleheader on Saturday, and they play Thursday, Friday, Sunday too. The Braves are currently, is it 3 or 3.5 back, I think. Just trying to have a quick look at that. Not that's hugely important. They are 3 games back.
But
the Braves,
either way, in the series, they have a chance to catch them here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is a really tight one. And I'll tell you, the importance of this, and added importance here, is the team that gets touched off in this division and finishes second are likely to have a wild card game against the San Diego Padres coming up. And I think at this
Very
point,
true.
nobody wants that to happen. So this is a huge series. My reading of the game was I was trying to find something to separate them, and all I had really was home advantage. Carrasco's recent form, which has been outstanding, and home advantage. At the time, the Mets were minus 105, the minus 122 a little. So that's changed a little bit, which takes the edge off. But I'll stick with my handicap and I'll take the Mets. I still prefer the Mets as a team overall. I'll take the Mets on the money line at minus 122, Noah.
Yeah, it's a very, very intriguing game of the day. I think I'm kind of with you here. Like I do it for the show just to have a little bit of banter with Dylan, but this Mets team is very intriguing, and I'm a pitcher. I love that starting rotation. I think the player group that the Braves have is better than the Mets. I'll say that. But I kind of like the Mets down the road a little bit more than the Braves. It's tough to say right now because both of them seem pretty neck and neck. But for this game in general, though, I'm a huge, huge fan of Kyle Wright, Vandy boy. And it's tough with the offenses, too. I probably won't have a play today, but my lean is kind of going to be on the under here.
Okay. Yeah, I was on with Dylan last night, and he was a little bit underwhelmed by the business that the Mets had done. He spent the last week, every player that we named, he was waving his arms around and pointing at his Mets jersey as if they were going to hoover up all the good players. Yeah. And actually, they didn't do much at all, did they?
They did acquire this relatively unknown prospect. He can have the ability to hit triple digits. His name, I believe, is Jacob DeGrom. So
yes,
he should do all right in that starting rotation there and help the team out in the long run. But yeah, they did great at the trade deadline, I think.
The big man Daniel Vogelbach hit a grand slam tonight. I noticed, so he's off the mark. Yeah, so interesting series this one, and we might know a little bit more about the destination if that pennant comes Sunday afternoon. Yeah,
I think it's awesome. They acquired two thick boys that are going to platoon on the bench, and Vogelbach and Darren Ruff. And you got a big, thick left-hander and a big, thick right-hander. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Darren Ruff was an odd pickup, I think, especially with JD Davis. I really like JD Davis. Like I say, we're going to get carried away talking trades. All of these lines, the place to find them is at WinBet, which is the title sponsor on the MLB Gambling Podcast. It's a perfect time to get over there. New customers who bet $100 will get a $100 free bet. Reduced juice is in play on baseball as well, making WinBet the best place to bet MLB. The WinBet Casino is always open 24 hours a day, and you will get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000 over there. There is loads to choose from. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so that they know we sent you. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you are someone who has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And don't forget to get in the Discord server. All the sharp minds and all the funny guys are in there. Loads of chat. It was flames last night in there with the all the trade chat. And there's normally loads of stuff to sweat and chat about in there. So yeah, the SGP and Discord server is very much the place to be. 7:10 Eastern first pitch is the Houston Astros at the Cleveland Guardians. Justin Verlander, your guy, Justin Verlander, will go for the Houston Astros. And Zach Plesac is on the hill for the Guardians. Houston are just about 2-1 on, minus 197. Cleveland are plus 168. Totally is set at 7.5. And I'll throw this across to you, Noah, as JV is your betting rule number one, I believe.
Yeah. Travel day for the Astros coming up here to Cleveland from Houston. No trends today, but like you mentioned, my number one MLB betting commandment is just don't fade Justin Verlander. So he's 14-3 on the year. He's 181 ERA, 122 strikeouts, 22 walks, and 124 innings pitched. We said it kind of at the MLB All-Star break. He was not the betting favorite. It was Shane McClanahan for the AL Cy Young. But right now it looks like he is starting to pull away with the AL Cy Young. He had a 0.99 ERA in the month of July, and on the season he has a 1.72 ERA on the road. Very good numbers against Cleveland as well. Cleveland, they're throwing Zach Plesac. He's 2-9 this year with a 4.33 ERA, 79 strikeouts, 28 walks, and 104 innings pitched. Plesac has a 3.10 home ERA, but he had a 5.90 July ERA. So I like the Astros to win this game, and I'll take them on the run line for it too.
I don't mind Plesac, but I know what you mean about the more recent numbers. I trust him a little bit more at home. I've been following Houston unders recently.
Yeah.
They've gone okay. They had a low scoring series with Oakland. They played a 2-1 game that Munaf was present at last night against the Boston Red Sox. They was it 6-1 tonight, so that'll have gone under as well. So yeah, I'll take the under again. It's a little bit too low, 7.5. I would have preferred an 8. But hopefully Zach Plesac can keep this relatively tight, and Houston might hold them off something like 4-2 or something like that. So we'll take the -7.5 for me at -105.
Is my microphone picking up background noises right now?
Not for me. Why? What's going on?
I am wearing noise or sound canceling headphones, and it is pouring rain.
Oh, okay.
So I was just wondering if I should be muting while you're speaking.
I cannot hear the pouring rain, Noah.
Great.
Okay. 7:10 Eastern first pitch is the Tampa Bay Rays at the Detroit Tigers. Jeffrey Springs, left-handed pitcher, on the hill for the Tampa Bay Rays. And Drew Hutchison goes for your Detroit Tigers. The lines here, Tampa Bay -177, Detroit at +151 with a total set at 8. Jeffrey Springs is 3-3, 2.70 ERA, has pitched 73 1/3 with 77 Ks. Hutchison 1-4, 4.53 ERA, 49 2/3 pitched and 32 Ks. Springs is regressing quite quickly as well. Starts are getting shorter. He's given up runs. And this was kind of unavoidable, I think. He went okay early on in the season. He had that look of one of these Tampa Bay pitchers that they just finagle something out of. And that's on the side a little bit for me. Hutchison, he's got a few better starts recently to his name, including his last one against the Toronto Blue Jays. It was quite an ugly matchup, this. I was struggling to get an angle in. The main angle I'm going to make my pick on is the one about fading Springs. I'm still not really in on this Tampa Bay lineup. They didn't do much at the trade deadline. So I'm going to take a little punt here. Noah, you like this? Detroit on the money line, +151.
Sure. Why not?
Sure. Overwhelming support there from Noah.
I don't really know how to bet this game because I'm not a fan of either pitcher, really.
That's what I meant when I said it was an ugly matchup and I was looking for an angle in. I just didn't know where to go with it. Nothing presented itself that straightforward to you.
Because when you look at the two pitchers here and you go, oh, it's Hutchison and Springs, they're bound to give up runs. But then you look at the two offenses and
who's going to get them?
Yeah, who's scoring the runs? So really, I don't know who or what team I'm going to bet on, but I should say I kind of have an idea of who I'd like to bet on. He has not really done much lately, but it is pouring rain right now in Detroit, and it would just make perfect sense if during the series Isaac Paredes goes out and hits a couple of home runs. He hasn't done much lately, but just to shove it right in our face. I don't know if you guys saw the highlight clip that he had back in like June, where like one of the guys in the dugout said, like, how stupid are the Detroit Tigers? Did you hear that?
I didn't see it. No, I love it though. I'll track that down. So
he hits a home run, comes back in the dugout. He's got like 10 bombs on the year. Just just my prop would be just like a hits or a total bases on Isaac Paredes. It's just meant to be.
Okay. So purely a pure spite pick there for Noah.
Spite.
740
It's an
is the first
emotional
pitch.
fade.
It's an emotional pick. Toronto Blue Jays at the Minnesota Twins. Alek Manoah for Toronto, and Sonny Gray chose to start for the Twins. Relatively close on the lines. Toronto minus 125. The home puppy are the Minnesota Twins at plus 106. Totally a set at 7.5. And this one is coming back to you, Noah.
Yeah, I think this one probably was the runner-up for the game of the day. I really like pitching matchup. Travel day for the Blue Jays. They're going up to Minnesota from Tampa Bay. Pitching for Toronto is Alek Manoah, who in his last start took a ball that was absolutely blistered off the bat to his right forearm. Seems to be okay. He's 11-5 on the year, 2.43 ERA, 114 strikeouts, 26 walks, and 116 innings pitched. Actually, I think that's 126 innings pitched. He has a 2.38 ERA on the road, so going very, very well. In Minnesota, Sonny Gray, another one of those Vandy boys that I grew up watching in college, 3.41 ERA, 69 strikeouts, 19 walks, 74 innings pitched. He's only given up 2 runs in his last 2 starts against the Tigers and the Padres. I really like the moves that Minnesota made at the deadline here to bolster their bullpen. I like the unders again. So give me the under in this game, and I like the Twins to win this one as a dog.
Noah, you read my mind. I've got the Minnesota Twins here. I had them written down at plus 105, which is pretty much where they are still now. They did do good business. Manoah, his numbers have been okay. It just hasn't really convinced me. In a couple of his last starts, he gave up those 4 earned runs against the Tigers. He's got a 4 earned run start against the Athletics, going back to the start of July. So, and a little bit of contact as well, actually, from Manoah. He's been giving up some hits and a 4-walk appearance at Seattle. Tight one, really tight one. But the Blue Jays lineup still just not convincing me at all. I think George Springer's gone AWOL, I think, recently. So Minnesota at home, with a little bit of momentum from some of the moves that they've made, bit of feel-good factor. I'll take the home puppy all day here. Give me the Twins at plus 106. IP Vanish are the official VPN of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Using incognito mode does not actually protect your privacy, but IP Vanish will by encrypting 100% of your data. So things like private details, passwords, communications, browsing history, even your physical location will all be hidden. You can use IP Vanish on unlimited devices, including your Fire Stick, when you're streaming stuff. And IP Vanish are offering 70% of the yearly plan for listeners of the MLB Gambling Podcast with a 30-day money-back guarantee, the equivalent of getting 9 months for free. Really easy to use. Tap of a button and you are in business. Stop sharing with the world everything that you stream, search for, and buy. Go to ipvanish.com. Use that promo code SGP to claim 70% savings. ipvanish.com/SGP. 7:45 Eastern first pitch. The Chicago Cubs at the St. Louis Cardinals is Marcus Stroman, and it's going to be Jose Quintana on debut for the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cubs are plus 128. The Cards minus 149. Total error set is 8. Noah, Quintana on debut. What you expected?
My first thing was instant reaction. I was like, the Cardinals and the Pirates made a deal. That's something. Going in division, more and more of that is actually happening nowadays. It's like it doesn't matter anymore. So interesting stuff. The Cardinals, they are 12-6 in their last 18 games against the Cubs. That was the one thing that I pulled out here as a trend for this matchup. Marcus Stroman, he's 3-5 this year, but he has a 3.99 ERA, 62 strikeouts, only 18 walks, and 67.2 innings pitched. Stro has a 0.9 ERA in his last 4 starts. So he's going very well right now. And Jose Quintana, He's 3-5, 3.32 ERA, 89 strikeouts, 31 walks, and 103 innings pitched this year. But away from PNC Park, this is what nerves me a little bit because I like the St. Louis Cardinals, and I think this was a great pickup. He's got a 5.38 ERA away from PNC. So I don't know how well Quintana is going to go here in this spot, but I still like the Cardinals to win this game enough. So that's going to be my play. Not sure if I'm comfortable with the run line, but just a pick from me, and it's the Cardinals to win.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with this. I've been far too high on the Cubs lately. I've picked them about 7 nights in a row. And guess what? No, I've got Chicago Cubs plus 135 written down on my notes tonight. Stroman's been great.
Yes.
Quintana, it's the Cardinals lineup, I think, whether the Cardinals lineup can get to Stroman. Because I think I'm expecting a dodgy start from Quintana. I've not put a lot of faith in these pitchers making their first start. So Syndergaard was the one earlier on as well, and Quintana I think fits into that mold as well. So I I'm not very comfortable about this at all. But yeah, I'll a tentative vote for the Cubs at plus 135. But I'm just conscious that I've been following them off a cliff over the last week or so. So
yeah, I said it on the day we recorded the Monday podcast that trade deadline Tuesday, that deadline day is the worst, hardest day to handicap baseball games and bet on it. But it's kind of this whole week because you're just kind of feeling out how the new pieces will play in the teams or on the teams and stuff. So especially with the pitchers, their first outing doesn't come for 3 more days or so on some of them. But yeah, this is one pure example of Quintana way better at PNC. Don't know what he's going to bring here at Busch.
I'll put that one down my list of things to bet on tomorrow. 8:05 Eastern first pitch is the Chicago White Sox against the Texas Rangers. Johnny Cueto supposed to start for the White Sox. And we have Cole Ragans or Raggins. We'll go with Reagan, shall we? Making his debut for the Texas Rangers. I had handicapped Glenn Otto. Cole Ragans made an appearance on the probable pitchers list about an hour ago. The White Sox are minus 131. Texas are plus 110. Totally are set at 8.5. I don't know if that's been adjusted for the presence of Raggins, because I would have thought that the White Sox are going to be a shorter price than that. Johnny Cueto is 4-4, has a 2.86 ERA, has pitched 88 innings with 60 strikeouts. Raggins is on debut. We don't know much about him. He's a lefty. He's come off 2 Tommy John surgeries. We did a little desk. Sorry?
Hell of a story.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's one of the Texas. I've got 3 or 4 half decent prospects, the 2 or 3 left-handed pitchers as well, and it's Raggins that they're going to bring up. But yeah, I can't really give you too much information on him. He was a 2016 first-round draft pick, and 6 years later, here he comes. So I'm going to leave this one. I had the White Sox on the run line against Glenn Otto, but yeah, I can't, in good faith, give out a pick with Raggins on the mound. Noah, have you got anything to add to this one?
Yeah, he made 18 starts in the minor leagues this year in Double-A. He had a 2.81 ERA. He looks to be somewhat of a strikeout machine, as they would say. Good with limiting the walks as well. So he had well over 100 strikeouts in the 18 starts, split time in the Double-A, Triple-A, and Triple-A against a little bit better competition, some 4A players. He had a 3.32 ERA. He was 3-2. He had 48 strikeouts, 12 walks, and 43.1 innings pitched. Not a ton of hype from what I've seen from Ragans, but he is the Rangers' number 6 overall prospect. I think the biggest thing here, though, is there's going to be a lot of electricity in the air. I think that the stadium is going to be pretty filled because they are introducing Kumar Rocker tomorrow in the pregame's festivities. So I don't think there's really going to be much pressure on Ragans. I think a lot of people's attention is going to be on Rocker during the day. And then, the stadium is going to be filled for this middle-of-the-road Rangers team. It's probably going to be one of the more attended games of the year, I think. So I've really kind of am interested in the price here on the Rangers. Like you said, you don't think it's moved since they've changed the pitchers. The plus 101 seems kind of short. We'll see if they extend it tomorrow when the news fully gets out, because I think that's my play.
Yeah, that's what I agree with you. I think those prices are a little bit cockeyed, and something might just move on there. Eight Ted Easton. What's up with the term cockeyed? Could you not say
I've
that?
never heard it. I like
never
it.
Say, what do you say in your if someone's got one eye looking that way and one eye looking that way? What's the term for that affliction?
Cross-eyed.
All right, okay. Cockeyed is what we would call
I like
it.
cockeyed too.
No, nothing to do with the penis. Just that's what it's called when you've got one eye in the shop and one eye coming out with a change. That's what you've called it.
Now there's penises on arms and eyeballs.
No. Moving on before Moonaf tells us off again. Moonaf's gone, actually. We can say what we want. The final game of the day is
1 minute in. There's no way.
Yeah, we've got rid of Moonaf. We've bored him off. The Boston Red Sox at the Kansas City Royals, which is Nick Pivetta for the Red Sox and Chris Bubich, left-handed pitcher for the Royals.
Oh, now we're talking about boobs too.
Oh, stop it, grow up. The Red Sox are minus 136. KC are plus 115. Total is at 8.5. This one is back across to you, Noah.
Travel day for both teams. For the Red Sox, they're coming up to Kansas City from Houston, and for the Royals, a little bit of a travel from Chicago. Nothing too crazy here. Boston, Nick Pivetta is going. He is 8-8 on the year, 4.47 ERA, 114 strikeouts, 44 walks, and 118.2 innings pitched. Racks up a couple of strikeouts a game. On the surface, it doesn't look like he's doing too bad on the year, but in July, he had a 10.13 ERA. Then you look at Kansas City's Chris Bubich, who has been one of my favorite pitchers to fade this year. 2-6, 5.45 ERA, 61 strikeouts, a ton of walks, 39 walks, and 74.1 innings pitched. That is over a walk a half inning. And he's got a 6.70 home ERA. At Kauffman, come on, man, that's a pitcher's park. He's got 6.70 home ERA. So, I mean, both teams aren't playing well right now, but I think all the signs are pointing towards the over for me. This Royals offense is feisty. We've seen it even after dealing away some pieces. They're still putting up some runs, and Boston's bound to wake up at some point. They didn't completely sell off, so you have to admit that they're going to wake up, I think. So I like the over in this one. Malcolm, how about you?
Yeah, I took the over as well. I had it written down at 9. It's gone to 8.5, which I'm pleased about. Pivetta has just fallen out of form a little bit. The Kansas City, I've been trying to find some spots to back Kansas because, as you just said, the offense has been relatively feisty. They haven't been that terrible. I know Perez came back at catcher, and they've got Melendez. They've moved him into the outfield, or one of those who's been DHing.
He wasn't that good defensively either, though. So
catcher, yeah, nice move. Bobby Witt hit a dinger tonight, so I don't mind. They kept some of their pieces, actually. Michael A. Taylor was a player that I thought was certainly going to be on the move, and they kept hold of him. I can't take the Royals with Bubich on the mound. That would just be silly. But so, yeah, it's got to be the over, I think. Over 8.5 at minus 120, a little bit juiced. But, yeah, we'll take that. But both offenses can contribute to that one, as can both dodgy pitchers. So there we go. Lock and dog picks to come in a moment after I've told you about our new sponsor on the MLB Gambling Podcast, which is Odds Trader. Odds Trader is a website which has really got all the tools you need if you are a sports bettor, which I assume you are, or you wouldn't be listening to this. You can compare odds from all major sports books so you can find the right line. You can compare the different sign-up codes and bonuses so you can get the right promo to pick up your bonus bets and deposit bonuses, things like that. And then play statistics, key game stats, injuries, weather updates, all these things are available on Odds Trader, as well as play-by-play updates, and a bet tracker, which allows you to keep records of all your games and betting activity. This sounds right up my street. So Odds Trader is the place to find all of those things, which is going to help you be a better, I think. I've just made that up. That's a great tagline. Go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Odds Trader, the number one site for all your game day bets. Be a better, Noah. So 12 games, a lot of chat, a lot of trade talk. You said this is often a tricky time of the year to handicap games. We need a lock and a dog. Noah, what have you got?
So for my lock today, we're going to go to the Washington-Philadelphia Phillies game, and I'm going to take the over. I'm seeing it right now at 8.5 minus 120. Paulo Espino on the mound for the Nationals, 5.87 ERA in July, and Noah Syndergaard on the mound for Philadelphia in his first start. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a great one because he has a 5.45 ERA away from Angel Stadium. So that's going to be the lock. And for my dog, I really like the Minnesota Twins. Keep an eye on that Texas Rangers price like I mentioned. But for the Twins, I'm seeing them at plus 110 right now against the Toronto Blue Jays. Alek Manoah, we mentioned it. He's not in great form as of late, giving up plenty of runs, more than he should against the Tigers and the Athletics. In his last start against the Tigers, he took a wicked, just blistered baseball off the bat to his right forearm. I don't quite know how well he's going to be tonight against Minnesota. And Sonny Gray, he's been very well in his last two starts, only given up 2 runs, and he's pretty good at home too. So I really like Minnesota. The moves that they made at the deadline, I like the price at the as a dog here with the new and improved bullpen.
Yeah, the Minnesota pick certainly came on my radar at an underdog price. My lock is going to be a total, and it's the unders in the Oakland Athletics at LA Angels game, which is Road Paul Blackburn and Jansen Junk. We know how good Road Paul Blackburn is. And I'm expecting a good start from Junk tomorrow. And I know other people are banking on a good start from Junk as well. Big fantasy streamer. So, yeah, under 8 there, 2 anemic lineups as well. So, under 8 for that one. And for my dog, I'm going to fade Jeffrey Springs. I think the Detroit Tigers can win this. Horrible low scoring game, 3-1 for the Detroit Tigers. I had this at plus 160 earlier on. It's down to plus 151 now. So give me some of that Tigers, Noah. You must love it.
Got the jersey on, baby.
Yes, there we go. Then what could possibly go wrong?
The number one team at the MLB trade deadline did pretty much nothing. So
absolutely
had to support it.
Yeah, that's everything. Give us a little précis of what's going on the rest of the week. Have you got any other sporting commitments happening?
Yeah, I do have some sporting commitments. Got to write a boxing article. So we have a good one over in your side of the world.
Okay.
You ever heard of Michael Conlon or Mick Conlon?
I know zero about anything to do with fighting.
Yeah, he's
absolutely
Irish.
nothing.
He's an Irish lefty. He's pretty intriguing. It'll be on ESPN at probably like 8-9 o'clock your time, probably, if you want to tune in, because he is intriguing. But fantasy football, it's starting to ramp up a little bit. I already had one draft for a home league because, college buddies have no flexible schedules apparently.
Yeah.
And we just, you know what? We are all available right now. Let's do it. So 10-team league, team turned out all right. Not much research went into it as I'm like handicapping MLB and I'm in the thick of it with the trade deadline. But with the little stuff that I did, I think my team's all right.
I am paid up yesterday. With it being the end of the month, I got some money and I paid up for all the things that I'd said yes to over the last couple of months, which that was a bit of a shock because I said, you just say yes to, do you want to play in this survivor pool? Do you want to play in this guillotine league? Do you want to play in this vampire league? Yeah, $50, $75, $100, $50. It's like,
you say, yeah, $50. It's not much for
it's not much. Yeah. By the time I'd made like my 7th PayPal transaction yesterday, I was like, oh yeah, maybe this wasn't quite a good idea. So I'm gonna have to do some more homework and win some of that money back.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch myself DoorDash and get some of this pool money here.
I'll tell you what, we've already touched on it once, the 32 team pre-season previews that Sean and Ryan and various guests are doing are absolutely brilliant. There'll not be another outlet doing a specific preview on every team. The quality and the humour that those boys are putting into it. So if you get a chance, go across and listen to them. Absolutely outstanding. I love that. And hopefully they can help me win my leagues. Everything I know about NFL betting, I learned off Sean and Ryan, which is how I'm in this mess in the first place, sitting here talking to you about MLB. So, absolutely love it. That's the
I
best
tweeted out how I got into this mess last night.
Did you?
I basically didn't bet much MLB trade deadline. We played in the Dana White's Contenders Series. That's what we did, baby.
Nice, love it. Right, thank you very much, Noah, for joining me. That was a lot of fun, as always. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Good luck with all your bets. We will be back tomorrow to have a look at Friday's games. Until then, we will see you down the road. Cheers.